Let's have a conversation about one-hit wonders. What makes a one-hit wonder? For one, that one hit should be very catchy, and that one hit should stand the test of time. Another reason why artists gone on and become one-hit wonders is because of label bungling their potential. While said artists capitalize on that hit, the labels will push back on their debut album and wait until the song momentum dies down to release the album and or follow-up single. And I know what you're thinking, where are we getting with all this? Well, the movie That Thing You Do highlights all the issues and reasons why most artists end up one-hit wonders. It shows how a band, in this case, rise from humble beginnings, using some luck, touring the country, and falling off as fast as they rose. So without further ado, let's take a look at this movie. Before we begin, if you want to see music bios or more good videos like this, hit the subscribe button. Also, I've started a Patreon account. On here you get more copyrighted material and they'll be uploaded 48 hours prior to YouTube. If you want to support or visit, link is in the description. And without further ado, on to our feature presentation. The film starts off by meeting Guy Patterson. He works for his dad's appliance store during the day, but in his spare time, he winds down and plays the drums to some of his favorite jazz records. In the meantime, Jimmy, Chad, TB, Lenny are coming up with a band with assistance with Jimmy's girlfriend, Faye. Lenny offers Guy to perform at a local college talent show, but he turns it down for now, but is put on standby if anything happens. Well, that opportunity comes when drummer Chad decides to be an idiot and breaks his arm while jumping over a parking meter. Jimmy and Lenny then approach Guy at his job and ask to fill in while Chad is injured, to which he agrees. They rehearse and guys tell them that they sound wonderful. Faye gets an idea and calls the band the Wonders, but at the talent show, things go wrong. First, the announcers pronounce them as the Oneaters instead of the Wonders. 2, Guy decides to push the tempo to Jimmy's dismay.
Yeah, that's too fast, Guy. Slow down! Come on, slow down! Too fast! Slow it down!
Jimmy struggles to keep up, but everyone else, including the audience, catches on, and the Oneaters wound up winning the talent show. After the show, they get a job playing at a local pizzeria, and that's when someone asks to buy the record for the song, but they don't have any, and Guy suggests that they record at a relative's church with one take. The band then decides to sell them for $1. The record gets into the hands of a talent promoter named Phil Horace. He promised to get the guys on the radio within 10 days, and once Faye hears them on the radio, she rushes to Guy's store where he plugs in every radio he could find so everyone can hear it. One person I haven't mentioned yet is Guy's girlfriend Tina. She doesn't believe in his dream, and in fact, she hasn't been loyal to him. She eventually leaves him for her dentist. In fact, she lies about missing Guy's gigs by saying she's going to get a crown procedure that's going to take all day. They get booked on a showcase, but is marred by technical difficulties. Phil blasts Guy in particular and orders him to meet Mr. White of Playtone Records. First, they'll sign on the condition that Mr. White becomes the band's new manager. Second, Mr. White changed the name from the Oneaters to the Wonders. Third, he makes Faye the costume mistress. And fourth, Mr. White gives Guy shades as that'll be his trademark. Jimmy constantly asks about the next record, but Mr. White ignores him as he says touring is more important now than the follow-up. Once on Playtone, they go on tour with the other acts and gets charted on the Billboard as the song starts to climb. Bass player TV gets acquainted with one of the singers from the Chantrellis, and I'm only mentioning this because this was an interracial relationship, a rarity in the 60s. Guy later meets his idol, Bobby Washington, who is a jazz drummer. Jimmy is also getting acquainted with another singer named Diane, and luckily Faye doesn't think much of it.
Faye, what is Jimmy doing at Diane Dane's table?
He's showing her how the record made number 21 in Billboard.
A record actually climbing the charts.
But after the show in Wisconsin, Mr. White tells the band that they're flying to LA as the song rose to number 7. Faye is getting ill and Guy is more concerned for her than Jimmy is. Jimmy is still asking for that follow-up record and gets shot down again. While in LA, the Wonders shoot for a major movie, and this is where Jimmy starts to develop an ego as he resents being in the movie.
Hey, do we have a top 10 record?
You sure do.
Well, then we shouldn't be here.
What, would you rather be back on that state fair tour, Jimmy? They're playing North Dakota this week.
Then he starts to get acquainted with the Playboy model. TB meets a few Marine Corps as he informs that he'll be joining soon. Guy visits a jazz club and meets Dale Paxton, a jazz pianist. And Dale warns Guy that bands like his don't last very long.
Ain't no way to keep a band together. Bands come and go. You gotta keep on playing, no matter with who.
Guy then shows up to the television gig late, where he finds Jimmy vomiting and Lenny being too acquainted with his Playboy girlfriend, as TB's nowhere to be found. Turns out he went to Disneyland with his new Marine buddies. Mr. Wright introduced them to Wolfman to replace TB, as they don't have many options left. Guy family tune in and Chad's arm is still broken. I guess it took longer for arms to heal back in the day. The Wonders performed their song, as it was found out that it reached number 2 on the Hot 100, and while performing, TV Land is introduced to the members of the band, and when he gets to Jimmy, they inform the crowd that he's engaged. After the performance, Jimmy is pissed and accuses Faye on telling the world their non-existent engagement. Turned out it was Mr. White that told the big lie. Faye is fed up with Jimmy and breaks up with them. Other than Faye, Guy's the only one that sees hurt in her eyes. The Wonders are ready to cut another record, but this time Lenny is nowhere to be found. Turns out he went to Vegas to marry his Playboy girlfriend. Jimmy then lashes out at Mr. White as he wants the band to record his material and not the song Jimmy wrote. Mr. White orders him to record or be in breach of contract. He does, and come up with this tune.
I quit. I quit. I quit.
After Jimmy leaves, The Wonders is over. Mr. White then tells Guy that one-hit wonders are more common than you think. Guy hangs around in the studio and runs into Dale Paxton again. He asks Guy to play with him, and they create an improv tune called I Am Spartacus. As Guy leaves the hotel, he runs into Faye one last time. He tells her that he's going to stay in LA to work with Dell. Faye is going back to Pennsylvania, but before she leaves, they share their true feelings and a kiss. We now get epilogues on every member. Guy and Faye are married with 4 children, and he's now a jazz teacher in Bainbridge Island, Washington. To avoid breaching his contract, Jimmy creates a new band called The Herdsmen, and they now have 3 gold records for Playtone. He's now a record producer in LA. TB served 2 tours in Vietnam, earning 2 Purple Hearts, and he now stays in Orlando. Lenny is a hotel manager in Laughlin, Nevada, and divorced his Playboy wife. Not surprised. Let's just thank God that this group never had a reunion, because that exchange with Jimmy and Guy would be awkward. In all honesty, this film is pretty incredible. Everyone has done a good job, but of course I have thoughts. First, let's talk about Faye. Whoever did Liv Tyler's makeup in this film need to be in the Library of Congress, because she made Liv very beautiful in the film. Then there's Jimmy, the self-centered villain of the film. I want to ask him this question. Did he really love Faye? Because he never showed much affection towards her. Guy was more concerned for her than he was. And let's also state that he had no right to lash out at Faye for the lie, something that she didn't do. Also, he put his interests first before the band, like recording another record. In other words, this dude really thought he was Paul McCartney. And I also want to shout out Toni Basil, who is also a one-hit wonder herself, as she did most of the choreography in the film. All in all, this film serves as a good lesson on how to avoid becoming one-hit wonders, and if you haven't seen it, check it out. And that concludes That Thing You Do. Tell me what you think in the comments below. Please like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.